Welcome to Classic Value Investors and Microcap Explosions. Today I am chatting with Jason Rivera. Jason, how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. Jason, I reached out to you because I know you've been around for a while. I've been around for a while. Different things, but like I know you. I've seen you in value investing circles. I've been doing my thing for more than 10 years, and I just remember like when I started my blog, that was like way before YouTube and things like that. Value investing was considered cool. Like it was cool. It was in vogue. It was in fashion. And now it seems like we're not cool. We're not cool guys anymore. Like, and is this like what you're getting on your end too?
Absolutely. We are the pariahs. We're the outcasts. We're whatever you want to call. We're not the cool guys because we're not getting the huge Bitcoin returns or the meme stock returns. We're just out of favor at this point in history. Absolutely. That I am
Yeah,
seeing that pretty much every day.
yeah. But it's kind of like when you and value investors come in different shapes and forms, and so and we all make money differently, go for different things, which is fine. But as long as we're like looking at, hey, what are we paying for something, whether versus what are we getting today or versus what we're getting in the future, I consider this value investing, all of it. But when you analyze things, you're not cool anymore. Like if you don't pay attention to valuation, then yeah, then you're in vogue. Like we want to listen to you.
Oh yeah. Buy the dip. What is it? The SHIB coin or whatever the latest trend is to the moon. All that stuff. And hey, you want to analyze this company's financials? No, I'll just buy it
Yeah,
and
that's
see what
right.
happens.
That's
That's
right.
that's that's what's happening now.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit by yourself. Like, how did you become a value investor? You're obviously self-taught. Many of us are self-taught value investors, but give me your
Yes.
story.
Yeah. So I've been in the value investing arena for 15-ish years now, and I've had my blog Value Investing Journey for 9, 10 years, which is ancient in blogging terms. When I started, you probably remember some of these guys: Value Prax, Ragnar is a pirate, Jeff Moore, Taylor Conant was the Value Prax, and all the other guys.
Remember F Wall Street?
Yes, yes. F Wall Street, all these guys, and I think you and I and Tobias Carlisle to a degree, and that's pretty much it.
Miguel Barbosa, do you remember?
That name sounds familiar. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I still
yeah,
keep in touch, but I know that F Wall Street, uh, he's not in he kind of stepped away from investing and he's running like a website building company actually.
mm,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
but
There's
go
not
ahead.
many of us left.
Yeah, continue with your story, the blog, and.
Yeah, so I started actually the blog 10 years ago to track my own journey because I am self-taught. I didn't have anybody to talk to about this. Um, and back then there weren't courses, there wasn't really anything on YouTube, I don't think. And there wasn't a ton of blogs. It was a small handful of us, about 10 to 12 of us, and we were cool, if you want to say that. And that I got started in value investing because I read The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham, and it immediately clicked. Buying something that is worth XYZ value for a discounted price. It just immediately made sense. Um, and I agree with Seth. I think both Seth Klarman and Buffett say that to some degree they think um, value investing is genetic because it immediately makes sense to people, while other people, like my wife, for example, she just looks at me like, okay. um, but that's how I got started. Is I read that book and immediately clicked, and I just dove in, and I've been doing that for the better part of 14, 15 years now to some degree.
Okay. Now you talk about how you like to go into obscure public companies, small companies. Like, talk about that. Where do you find them? How do you approach this?
So my approach is probably terrifying to some people. Uh, I have done this multiple times now. I've downloaded the entire OTC markets list, and I've filtered the companies based on the companies I won't research, like banks, pharmaceuticals, natural resource companies, oil and gas, stuff like that, and countries I won't invest in. Get down to a list of about 6, 7,000 companies depending on the year, and I go one by one by one. and evaluate them. I also look at ADR lists for companies outside of the US that list on the US, typically on the OTC, the pink sheets. Um, that's where I find the bulk of the companies I look at, and that's where I tend to gravitate towards. I will invest in companies like Intel. In full transparency, I was trying to buy 7 stocks last year when the COVID crash first happened. One of those was Intel, Disney, because they were so massively undervalued. But most of the time I spend looking at micro caps, nano caps. That's just, I love looking at those tiny companies.
It's interesting that you said that Disney during COVID everything got crashed, but when we have because we work with smaller amounts of money, we can go into these places, like you said. It's uh, it's tough. It's tough to ever buy the Disneys, the Microsofts of the world. It's tough because it's like, yeah, yeah, I get it. They're cheap at certain times, but the stuff that we can look at, it's just so much more attractive from our point of view that it's tough. It's tough to buy these big names.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, and to illustrate that point, I couldn't buy any of the 7 stocks I tried to buy last year because the stock market skyrocketed faster than I could buy them. None of my buy orders got filled. Even on the Disney's, Intels, those didn't get filled. On the smaller companies I was trying to buy, they didn't get filled because things skyrocketed so fast. But yeah, in terms of opportunity cost, in my opinion, the smaller companies absolutely love them for that.
Yeah. Remember that I'm sure you've seen this. Buffett during the Berkshire Hathaway, somebody asked him, "What would you do if you were in college with $10,000 to your name?" And I mean, that's exactly what you're doing. That's exactly what I'm doing. Is like, hey, I would go into obscure places, start with an A, because this is where the biggest mispricing is possible. And it's not like that you go into these places and it's a guaranteed result.
No,
No, the mispricing is possible, more likely, but then you still have to roll up your sleeves and pick the ones that are going to succeed. It's yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. That, and I say this disclaimer to every student I have or every person that I tell that I look at small caps and micro caps, nano caps. Unless you know what you're doing, do not look there because 99% of them are not good and they're small for a reason. But if you know what you're doing and you know where to look and you know how to find them, that is absolutely where you get outsized returns. And that's how I've produced my outsized returns is by specifically investing in smaller companies.
And so do you run a fund or do you just invest your own money?
So I do run some friends and family money. I have turned down about $2.5 million from people who wanted to invest money with me in the last several years. Um, and at that point, I wasn't even reaching out to anybody. They just reached out to me because they saw my returns. And I turned the money down because I said I can't find anything that's even close to that fits my criteria. That's undervalued enough. That has the high margins, the high produces the high cash flows, all that stuff. I can't find anything, and I would feel guilty just sitting there taking your money. I haven't bought new stock in 6 years. Actually, 6.5 years now. I haven't bought a new stock in the portfolios I manage. But I'm still, because I found great companies that were so undervalued then, I'm still earning outsized returns, even though I haven't bought anything. And the portfolios I manage are now in like 65% cash.
It's interesting that you're saying that because we live in this world now where people just can't sit on their butt and hold the positions that they have. And from my biggest returns happened exactly just sitting, holding, not doing much. And now with this social media, YouTube, it's like I mean, look, I can find you an investment opportunity every day. Like
Yeah,
every week I can pitch you something, right? But like, what's the point? What's the point? It's like you got to go and sit on them. You got to let them develop. The stories do its thing. Valuation reach its things. Like, yeah, I can sell you a newsletter. I can say, hey, here's a new hot pick, but like, it's not going to do you any good.
yeah, I agree. And my biggest return I've ever had, and I still own the stock to this day. I bought it almost 7 years ago in the portfolios I manage, and at that time I was writing a newsletter where I was pitching the stocks that I was finding because I could find stocks pretty much every month then that were undervalued. This was 2014 timeframe, and I called it in that article the next GE because they had the same motto that we're either going to be first or we're going to be second or we're going to not do those other things. We're going to sell the business units. Um, but I also call them the next GE because of their competitive advantage and stuff. Since then, I haven't checked in the last couple of weeks, but as of my last check, they were up 12x in 6.5, 7 years. And
Yeah.
that's what you're talking about, letting the opportunity play out, continue building all that. When I first found them, they were like a $640 million market cap company. Last time I checked, they were a $7.2 billion company.
Yeah. And another thing is, wanted to talk to you about like the investment industry. We know how the investment industry views the small companies. Okay, it's like, risky penny stocks, stay away. And people don't realize that it's not about the size of the companies. It's not about the stock price. It's like it's about what's underneath. So
Mm-hmm.
you can enter situations where, like, you might think like, oh my god, I'm going into microcaps, but like you can have situations where you almost have zero risk in certain situations, like, and you can make big returns simply because nobody's paying attention to these names, and the business in itself, it could be great.
Yes, yes. I found during the same time period, I found a Chinese company that was transitioning its business model from being an electronic manufacturer to a real estate developer. And normally I would invest in those kind of companies because most companies don't make that transition. And it was a Chinese company, and I've had issues with Chinese small caps. And that's actually when I first got started, about this is probably about 13 years ago. I don't know if you remember this, but Chinese small caps kind of blew up because they found out a lot of more frauds. And my first foray into the investment market, I lost 50% of my portfolio in 6 months because I was
You
investing.
remember this guy that went to China to look at all these small caps, like he traveled to China.
Oh, what is
uh,
his name? Yes, I do.
Yeah, and so he was into this too, where, oh, they're so great, right? And then he went to China, and then he realized, like, some companies said they were big, and they were like, he was holding like two pigs. That's all they have. Like,
Yeah,
there's nothing behind it. And then he started shorting them after he
yeah,
realized that.
yeah. I don't remember his name, but I do remember that story, and I got blown up by that. So I didn't invest in Chinese small caps for a long time, but I did find one again, 2013, 2014 timeframe that was making that transition, but it had double the amount of just the cash, the net cash on its balance sheet, than its entire market cap. So it's like to that illustrates your point of I I'm not going to lose a ton of money here unless they are a complete fraud. I'm not going to lose money here. There's no way. And I ended up making like 2 or 3x my money on that. And then I sold it because the margin of safety was gone.
Yeah, yeah. So what is value investing journey now? Is this a blog, or is this a podcast, or what do you do? How people can learn?
So what I do now, when I first started, it was a journal for me to track my own journey. So I could go back and see over time what I need to fix, what I need to improve on, what I have improved on over time. Over time, it evolved into me helping other people learn this skill that you both have of evaluating stocks well, um, to give people the ability to invest their money and compound it over time. All the stuff Buffett talks about. There's a podcast, there's YouTube channel, there's social media. I also sell a value investing masterclass where I teach all this stuff as well, my entire process as well. So that's what it is now today.
Okay. And so give me the name of the website.
Valueinvestingjourney.com is the name of my main website.
Yeah, okay. How has been your experience being on YouTube?
It started off really slow, really slow. It took me 3 years to get 100 subscribers, but in the last like 28 days, we've gotten almost 100 subscribers in the last 28 days. And we just, I think 2 months ago, went past 1,000 subscribers. Um, so it's taken a while, but once it's kind of ramping up, now I'm seeing the kind of full effects of that. Is that what your experience has been as well, similar to that?
Well, you see, the tough part, it's like, what do you want, right? Because if I wanted, I know exactly what I would need to do if I wanted my channel to be popular. Like,
Yeah,
just talk about Bitcoin, Tesla,
yeah,
GameStop, right? Like, I mean, just go after the big names and just crank them out. and you'll do fine. And make sure you have a nice thumbnail and all that stuff, and tell people to like and subscribe many times during the during the video.
Yeah.
But I focus. I don't really a lot talk about my ideas because I have microcap explosions. So I kind of, most of the ideas I don't talk about publicly, but when I do, it's mostly these obscure names. And so this in general, it's not going to attract much fan base. But I guess my channel got a big boost during the COVID when I was talking briefly about the oil tankers,
Mm.
and everybody was interested in oil tankers, because the oil was going on the tankers for storage. We weren't driving, and that just like my channel went from like 400 people to 1,000, like 3,000, something like that, and it kind of built from that. But in no way do I consider it's taking me a time to even consider myself. Oh, I make YouTube videos. I'm a YouTuber. It was more like I'm not a YouTuber. Like I just have a YouTube channel because I want to save on my bandwidth, and I'm not going to put the videos on my website, on
Yeah.
my server. So
That's funny. My daughters are old enough now. They're my two oldest are one's about to turn 11 this Sunday, and the other one just turned 8. And so they have their tablets and their computers and stuff, and they go on YouTube. And the first time they saw me on there, they're like, "Daddy, you're a YouTuber?" I was like, "No, I just have a YouTube channel and I make videos and I post them." And but it's kind that's kind of where I'm at too. Is
yeah,
I'm sort of a YouTuber at this
yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah. Now you're also in real estate.
Correct.
Yeah. What do you do there? Are you like selling, or are you managing real estate?
So I am a licensed real estate agent in the state of Florida, although I don't really do much with that anymore after my father-in-law passed away a couple years ago, because you have to be available 24/7 for to sell real estate. What I'm looking to do now is to use the value investing principles I've learned to invest in stocks, is to use that to buy undervalued or at least fairly valued cash flowing commercial real estate and private businesses. Specifically, when it comes to commercial real estate, apartment complexes, self storage facilities, and um, mobile home parks. That's what I'm looking for in commercial real estate.
Did you see my video series on mobile home parks?
I don't think I did. I saw the one on the video tank, the oil tanker. That was a great video. I don't
Yeah.
think I saw. I'm gonna look it up right now.
So I mean, we could talk all day long about mobile home parks.
Do you own
I
some?
No, but like I used to be a real estate appraiser,
Okay, okay.
both on the residential and commercial. And mobile home parks are unique because the expand, especially when the people pay you just lot rent, right? That's the best business model because they put the home is not really movable, even though it's called mobile home, or now it's called manufactured home. It costs like $3,000 to $5,000 to move the home, so you have a tenant for life. Um, but now it's kind of tough to buy a mobile home park now without a lot of vacancies. So you have to be really in the rental business too. Like I know there's courses out there and say never, never, never own a mobile home park because the maintenance is going to kill you. So I kind of started looking into it, and I found this company CCI Investments from Sacramento and or Oakdale, uh, and I'm going there in a couple of weeks just to kind of meet them, because what they do is they turn around parks for you. I mean, they charge you like upfront 50,000, but they bring in homes, they turn it around, rent them, and stabilize your park, and then run them. But the biggest amount of money they make is on the upfront. So I kind of did some interviews with them on my channel and a broker, and then so in 2 weeks I'm going there. They're going to show me parks. I want to establish a relationship with them, see what they're like, make a video while I'm there, and so that when I'm ready, then I could engage them, because the last thing I want to do is me run the park, me
Yeah.
turn it around. It's a lot of work. But yeah, um, so yeah, you should look them up. CCI Investments. They barely have any visibility, but uh, in that space, I want to get to know them.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna watch them because, and I've got them up on my other screen. The reason that intrigues me is I'm looking actively. Like I've driven through. I live in the Tampa, Florida area, and I've driven through some parks, and I've been to letter of intent stage. but we couldn't come to agree to terms on the letter of intent, because, as you said, things stocks are overvalued enormously. Commercial real estate values are going up as well, and based on their cash flows and what they're producing, they're not worth what they're asking for,
You see
in
that?
my opinion.
See, this is the problem or difficulty that I have because we are able to go into OTC, TSX Venture, Canadian Stock Exchange. We are spoiled. Okay,
Yes.
we are spoiled what we can get for our money, and then we enter the real estate world, whether it's apartments or mobile home parks, and we want to get decent valuations. And here we're facing so much competition, like they price
Mhm.
them so high, and it's like, how can we possibly? And they're like, oh, it's a good deal. It's a 10 cap. Like, are you kidding me? I can get a 10 cap every quarter, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like we live in a different world, so it's tough, but I still want to go into that world at some point, take some of my assets and diversify because like I want to have an income stream where it's completely independent of all the pigs that I have, and just if something happens with my other things, I have that. But also, if you have income stream, you can take that income stream and take it into those undervalued situations while at the same time having that stability.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And that's actually the main reason I transitioned from stocks into looking at real estate and businesses, is because everybody knows the stock market's massively overvalued. When I first started looking at seriously at commercial real estate, it was not. But now that's changed rapidly. And you said the 10 cap thing. I have an entire thing on that, because most of the 10 caps I'm looking at right now, when you actually go through the numbers, they're more like a 6, 7, 8 cap.
Right, because
So
they,
the,
they,
the,
they
the
they like
numbers
to
aren't even
omit they
real
like to
that they're
omit
projecting out there.
certain expenses and
Yes.
capital reserves. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, of course.
Most of the ones I'm looking at don't have any capital reserves in there, like none. And I'm just like, that's terrifying to me as a
Yeah,
person who likes margin of safety. That's terrifying to me.
yeah. All right. Finally, talk to me a little bit about Bitcoin because I know you've talked about it a little bit. I'm not sure if you own it. Just give me your thoughts on that.
So I do not own Bitcoin. The main reason I don't own Bitcoin is, and I've known about it for longer than most people, because I've worked off and on for investment newsletters. And when this 2014, 2015 timeframe, I was working at an investment newsletter down in Delray Beach, Florida. And the guy who hired me down there was talking about this thing called Bitcoin. And he said he got some, I think it was for like 20, $30 a coin at that point. And he was like, you should get on this. And I didn't understand it. So I didn't do it. I understand it more now, but I still don't invest in it because I can't value it. To me, it's similar to gold and silver. I can't value it, so it could be worth $1, it could be worth $1 million. I don't know, and because I don't know, and because a lot of the stuff is based on emotion, I still haven't bought. Is that a mistake? It is from 2015 when I could have bought it $20, $30 a coin, obviously, at least from an investment perspective and a return perspective. But now with it at what, 50, $60,000 a coin or whatever it is, I honestly have no idea. What are your thoughts on that? Most value investors I know don't like it, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm learning more about it. It's funny. I did buy $500 worth of Bitcoin because some guy wanted to get paid with Bitcoin for a service,
mhm.
and at first I was like, no, I don't do Bitcoin. Like, if you don't take PayPal, no, thank you. And then I said, you know what? I want to try it. I want to. So I took $1,000, opened a Coinbase account, bought $500 worth of Bitcoin, sent him 250, and it turned out to be scam. I wasn't even talking to the person that I thought, but the Bitcoin itself did what it's supposed to do, meaning it transferred the value. So I do own 250. Well, now that 250, it's like, because Bitcoin went up when I did it, it was 47. Now it's like almost 70. So I'm like, hey, if it continues like this, I might recoup my $250 that I was scammed from.
There
But
you go.
you see, for me, it's like, okay, I warmed up to this a little bit. I'm not, so against it, but it's always for me. It's like I have X amount of money, okay, and where do I put it? Like I have so many ideas that are fantastic, in my opinion. Like Bitcoin is not even on the top 100 on my list. Okay, and so it's like, yeah, okay, I can make money, but like I have better investment ideas that I can value, or I can have some kind of sort of idea, some kind of path of where it's going, and going back, of course, we all should have, but to be honest, we go back and Bitcoin is at 1,000 or 100, I still wouldn't buy it. I just
No,
know
yeah,
myself. I still wouldn't do it because I would always have other opportunities at that time that I would choose over it. And so I'm not going to kid myself and be like, oh, I'm this or that, and I should have. No, because I know myself that I wouldn't.
yeah. No, I'm exactly the same. Should I have? Possibly, but I even in knowing what I know now, I probably still wouldn't have,
Yeah,
um, for the same reasons. But and this doesn't mean for me personally, it doesn't mean I hate Bitcoin. I don't hate cryptos. I personally don't. I just like you. I just think there's a better investment opportunities that I can actually value. And on the other side, though, I do think blockchain is the more important technology in my opinion. I think that once kind of situated realistically worldwide, I think that has the ability to transform the world more than cryptos does. At least knowing what I know now.
yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, Jason, is there anything else that you would like to add that we didn't discuss?
I don't think so. It's great talking with you.
All right, perfect. Thanks for doing this.
All right, thanks for having me on.